So last spring, Rocky and I climbed the Ayton Heights Fire Tower in Itasca State Park, and it was my first time being at the top of one of these things, and it was such a thrilling experience that I immediately started looking up more locations in Minnesota where you could climb more of these. And while we were there, this tower brought back some childhood memories that I had long forgotten about. I couldn't help but notice that this tower closely resembled a tower that my dad's friend Dan had in his yard, a tower that I was fascinated by as a young kid, and I was always very excited to go see it whenever we went up there. Like, why did he put it there? What was its purpose? I was 5. I didn't know it was just there. And if his son Ryan and me weren't busy climbing on it, I'd be underneath it staring up in amazement. It looked like a dang kaleidoscope, stretching up for miles into the sky, and at the very tippy top of it, there was this plate that had the shape of a sun or a star. And then they moved in 2002 and left the tower behind. How dare you? So after we got back from my task, I asked my dad about it, and come to find out it was an old fire tower. What a plot twist! And it was put in for the purpose of being converted into a massive windmill. Kind of appropriate considering the windmill company Aeromotor was brought in to design the first fire towers back in the day, and they were literally based off their old windmill design. And another thing I learned from my dad, that he actually helped install the tower back in 1986. He helped assemble the last couple sections of the tower and also helped with the concrete footings. So now you're telling me that this tower is deep in my own family history and you just left it there? But anyway, what is a fire tower? Well, after the Great Fire of 1910, these lookout towers were implemented so fires could be spotted more quickly. Now, these lookout towers came in a few different forms. Some were just trees with platforms built on them. Some were wooden towers with small cabs on top, while others were buildings on top of a tall mountain. But here in Minnesota, the most common type were these steel lookout towers, and most of the towers have either been torn down or abandoned. But fortunately, in Minnesota, there's a few that are maintained and open to the public. And while I unfortunately can't visit the one that I loved so much as a kid, there's still plenty out there that I can visit. So let's hit the road. So we're off to a bad start. Broke the tripod, so we gotta go get a new one real quick. And this mount does not want to stay put. But yeah, we're gonna go see 2 of them today. One's down in Cambridge, and the other one is Sand Dunes.
Sand Dunes
National Forest. Let's go see it. A quick pit stop at Best Buy to grab the cheapest tripod that is sure to be as durable as my old Amazon Basics, and we were on our way. I love me a good road trip. I love visiting places even in my own state that I've never been to, and I've never been to this part of the state. This is great. Let's go. And before I knew it, we arrived at the very first tower of our journey. All right, so this is the first one. We're in Cambridge.
Hey, pose for me.
What a perfect one to start the video off. What?
I said pose for me.
This is just like the Murphy Tower. It's the old style.
That ladder is so thin.
So what do you think of this, guys? Having to be one of the poor guys that had to climb that thing? All right, the money shot. Is there a star at the top? There is not. It's just a square. Is this already worth the trip? I think so. She's not listening. What do you think? This was a good one to start on, I think.
Yeah, it's just wild looking up at it, yeah.
See, they don't have the date stamped in it or anything because the footings are buried.
Yeah, I'm guessing so. Piece of glass?
Could that be from the cab?
I'm guessing. Oh yeah, I could climb this thing.
Yeah, right. Well, I won't be climbing it because I am a law-abiding citizen.
And I'm a sane individual. Nothing on the other side, just think there's a fence here.
I don't know if that's part of the original setup or if that came later.
Would have known like 50 years ago.
We're learning about this stuff as we go, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, there's numbers written all over it, obviously for like assembly stuff, but other than that, yeah, I haven't seen anything. This is Carnegie, and then an illegible word. Carnegie Kusa. Might be a company name?
Could be. We'll have to look into that.
Some graffiti up there.
Yeah. The next one we're going to see has some very colorful language at the top.
Oh, that one.
That one. This was a great one to start on, closely resembling the one I loved as a kid. The next stop on our journey was the Sand Dune State Forest, and I had a pretty vague idea about where this tower was in the park, so I was prepared to be walking around for a while, but luck was on our side. And here I thought we'd be walking for a while trying to find it. It's right there, and the parking lot's right there. Well, this couldn't have worked out any better. So we just picked a trail that felt right and just started hiking, which can be a recipe for disaster. But fortunately, there were maps posted occasionally. So if you ever come here, do not worry. You will never get lost, I promise. Very helpful indeed. I don't know what direction to go in, guys. Left, right. or hell. Let's go to hell. Oh yeah, we got lucky. We've never been here before. All the maps are shot to pieces, and yet we're here. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see any of us because I had to prop it into some sticks. Creative ingenuity, I say. Now I know this one's got some colorful language at the top of it. What do you think of this one?
Pretty awesome. I'd love to go up in it.
But we can't because we are law-abiding citizens. It's really tough to get a good shot. Everything's so grown in. And wouldn't you know it, it's just another square. The search for the star continues. Yeah, you can see up inside the cab up there.
Oh yeah, there's a chunk missing, isn't there?
The trapdoor.
Cartilage, pizza, intergalactic food.
What?
That's what it says. The finest poetry.
This is what your climb would have looked like back in the day.
No dates.
Yeah, I don't know why we're finding all the ones that don't have the concrete footings. Unless the footings are sunk into the ground, it's all sand up here.
It's all just buried, I guess. It's pretty soft ground. One thing about this one I noticed is up in the middle, there's no X support. There was one in the Cambridge one, like 3 layers up. And there's not one on this one.
All right, so successful day. Actually met a really cool couple that didn't know the fire tower was there, so it's day one.
Day one.
Completed.
Yeah.
On to day 2. All right, day 2.
We're gonna get our exercise today. Day 2, the adventure.
So this day started off with a mini heart attack. On our way to the first tower of the day, we saw signs for a railroad crossing, immediately followed by a bridge where we drove over the tracks. And what if a train comes? Please God, no, please don't let us go out like this. It was fine. We arrived safely at our destination at Mille Lacs Kathio State Park. Just up this short path was the tower, and it was peak tourist season. So we were there waiting for a while before we could climb it, which was fine because I noticed compared to the one that we climbed in Itasca, the stairs were steep as hell and the platforms were small as hell. So I was having a little panic attack, not gonna lie. The wait gave me time to mentally prepare for this. 100 feet is a long way up there, but it was fun. A family with 2 kids showed up just as we did, and those kids were so excited to climb to the top.
Daddy, we made it to the tippy top!
Awesome. I'm glad we were there to see that. That was too cool. Which also helped me because the whole time I thought, kids do this. Also, there were these weird teepee-like structures everywhere. Not sure what that was about, but whoever's idea this was, I salute you. All right, we've been waiting for a while, but it's time. Got my barf bag. Let's do this. Turns out I was more prepared for this than I thought. We made the climb to the top of the tower, and I have to say, if you can stomach it, it is so worth the climb. All right, what do you think? Worth the trip?
It was more than worth the trip.
But like I said, it was peak tourist season, and the caps for these things are, what, 7 by 7 feet? And we were crammed in there with like 3 other people. Oh, we got more people coming up. So I didn't want to spend much more time up there. My claustrophobia is in full force. I'm 100 feet in the air with nowhere to go. Please, God, help me, please. So we began our descent and moved to the next tower of the day, the White Pines Fire Tower. And I was very excited about this one because I had a hunch that it was identical to the one I loved as a kid. Another old one. This is definitely one I've been looking forward to seeing. Even though there's no star up there, I didn't expect there to be. I think the star is a Murphy Tower modification for that windmill he was gonna put on there. That still looks like it should be taller based on my childhood memories, but...
I was gonna say, this one looks taller than those other older ones, yeah, we saw yesterday.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is what I'm thinking, is the Murphy Tower equivalent. The next day I sent Dan a picture of this one and he was positive that this was the same one that was in his yard. So while I'll never go back to be able to visit his tower, this is a close second. So I'm glad we stopped here. It's like an old pedestal here right where the ladder came down for support. It's cool that, you know, these things are still left behind because they're a dying thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, but it is also just kind of sad. It's just how long it's since somebody sat up there and used it for its purpose, you know. I don't know why, but I just feel like I need to hunt for glass shards every time I'm in one of these. Yep, I see one. Glass shard. I'm gonna find one at every one of these.
Oh, look at that. It's the pooper.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even see that.
Oh, crap.
What does Shug call it? At the Boundary Waters, what does he call it?
Oh, God. It's on the tip of my tongue.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, is morning constitutional?
Constitutional.
Is that what it is?
On the what?
That I don't. If I heard it, I would know it.
Insert clip here.
It's the old Sunny Doniker.
Keep standing, old girl. Some people still want to visit you.
I swear Dan's is taller than that. And just like that, it was time to get back in the car and head off to our next location, the big Sandy Lake Fire Tower. And I had high hopes for this one. Our friend Ricky highly recommended this one, and it was finally time for us to see what all the hype was about. I'm excited as hell. I can sense it. We're getting real close. Short hike later, and there she was in all her glory. Oh, check this out. The table that used to be up there.
Cool.
And I'm starting to get that same anxious feeling I was feeling before because these stairs are also steep as hell. But at least there was nobody there, so I didn't have the audience like I had last time. Let's go. Don't be climbing up here on the day that they're going to test their tornado siren. Oof, that'd be a loud one. We were only about halfway up and I realized that the view from the top of this thing was going to be unmatched.
This one is the most impressive so far.
Yeah.
It is breathtaking.
Still got a ways to go. Thanks, Ricky.
Thanks, Ricky.
We reached the top and holy smokes. This is insane.
This is unbelievable. This one's...
These guys are water skiing down there.
Yeah, you can see people doing their water activities. That's cool.
What a crazy view. Holy crap. Look at all the pine trees.
This is amazing. There's not enough words.
And what a gorgeous day.
Oh my God, yes.
Absolutely the best one we've seen so far. What a great way to end the day. Yeah, except this wasn't the end of the day, because I remembered that there was one kind of sort of on the way home that we should probably try to hit up. Can my body handle climbing 3 of these in one day? Let's find out. The newly restored tower in Pequot Lakes, Minnesota. We followed the nice, beautiful walking path up to the top of the hill, and we found ourselves approaching yet another fire tower once again. Like I said, this one is newly restored, and once you get to it, there's a very nice area with picnic tables, a gazebo, and we had the place all to ourselves. Something I can almost guarantee never happens. One more for the day.
The third one for the day.
Admittedly, by this point, I was getting very tired, but we made the long climb, and at the top, I noticed something very alarming in the distance. So here we are in the Pequot Lakes Fire Tower, and wouldn't you know it, there is a fire out yonder.
We report the fires now. There's glass in every single one of these. I usually just find shards at the bottom of each one, but these, they all have their glass.
It makes it really hot.
It was really nice till we stepped from down there.
I am so ready for bed. All right, well, that's a wrap on the day,
That is a wrap.
and we mean it this time.
Yeah.
We descended from the fire tower, tired and exhausted, but with our feet firmly planted on the ground, it was time to say adios and head back home.
Da-da-da! Da-da-da!
And we had such a great time visiting these. Rocky and I got to spend the last 2 days together, go on a fun little road trip, and make memories that'll last a lifetime. But there was something missing. Like, going to all these fire towers was great and all, it was a lot of fun, but I wasn't as happy as I should have been, and I think I know why. Okay, so we're gonna roll the dice and see what happens. We're gonna go try to get to the Murphy Tower. I don't think I'll be able to sleep at night if we don't at least try. You know, hopefully we don't get shot. Yeah, it was fine. He was a nice guy. And the Murphys decided to come with last minute, so that really helped my social anxiety. Thanks for doing that. I just don't like showing up at someone's house unannounced, and I couldn't find a phone number, nothing. But at the same time, you miss every shot you don't take, you know? But things worked out beautifully, and most importantly, I was finally back at the tower that I loved so much as a kid. And the first thing I noticed was, it's a lot shorter than I remember it. I'm gonna guess it was around 1998 the last time I was here. 26 years ago. Time is not real. But regardless, Ryan and I zipped over to the tower right away, and I was finally able to answer what was that shape at the tippy top of the tower that I was so infatuated with as a kid. I made a drawing of what I thought the shape was. Where'd the drawing go? There. That's what I thought it looked like. Let's see if I remember correctly. It's a circle with 6 holes around it. Hey, you know, when you're a young kid, who knows what's gonna grab you, right? Ryan told me it had been at least 15 years since he'd been to his old homestead, so it was kind of a fun trip down memory lane for everybody. We hung out at the tower for a while and just reminisced about our childhoods, which included getting yelled at every time we tried to climb on it.
Tend to start climbing it.
You know, kid stuff. But I wasn't there to just reminisce. I was also there to learn about the tower and why it was there. So I was very lucky that Dan decided to come with and talk about everything on location, which was very cool. And like I said in the beginning of this, the tower was put in for a giant windmill for the purpose of running a giant power generator. It was going to be a downwind design so that the blades would twist outward from the tower 93.5 feet in the air to clear the abundance of tall ash trees in the area. The concrete footings, which the father of yours truly helped with, are 2 foot square that taper 6 feet down into gravel ground, each with a 5 to 6 foot square base that's about 1.5 feet thick and reinforced with rebar. That tower ain't going nowhere.
Look, Dad. Barely aged. You've done good work.
The entire thing was assembled on the ground, and then later on, a 130,000-pound crane was brought in to stand it up. Poles were installed at the feet of the towers to reinforce it as they were standing it. And no big task is without its problems, because you see, while the crane was doing its job, it also got stuck in the driveway. So Dan had to pull it out with his 6,000-pound dozer. And there it stands. Dan, his wife, and oldest son lived on a small cabin on the property for about 10 years, living off the grid. But then in 1986, they were expecting their second kid, and you know, some power would be nice. And so the tower and a house was put in that same year. Nowadays, the tower is still standing strong, hasn't aged a bit, but the cabin unfortunately has seen better days. Eventually, life gave its own twists and turns, and the project was never completed. And the tower now serves as a large yard ornament. And I'm gonna be honest, it's a pretty sick yard ornament. And ridiculous or not, I want one in my yard. And when I told that to my dad, he made a remark of how big of a pain it is to put one of those together. Yeah, maybe I won't get one. A few short years later, I started showing up there with my dad, and for me, the rest is history. Yeah, it sucks that Dan was never able to finish this project, but as a kid, it was such a huge mystery to me as to why it was there. So having it unfinished, leaving me with so many questions, I don't know, maybe that added to my fascination with it. Maybe it's just nostalgia talking, but I think it's just as cool standing there, frozen in time, just as I remembered it almost 30 years ago. Over the years, I've always wanted to stop in and see it. I just never did. Social anxiety champion, but I'm really happy I got to see it again and have the opportunity to share the story with you guys. And if you made it this far, thanks for watching. Big thanks to the Murphys for all your help in making this video and tagging along that day. Who knows if things would have even worked out without you there. Please go check out Blue Feather Torch. Dan's been hard at work for many years developing his own acetylene torch, so if you're in the market for one, this might be something for you to check out. But that's all I have for you. Be sure to hit the like button on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.